Welcome to Apex Mindset. I'm John.
And I'm Lucy. Great to be here.
Today we're diving into something really fascinating, a concept called the death ground strategy.
Yeah, it sounds pretty dramatic, doesn't it?
It really does. But it's basically about how sometimes intentionally removing your escape routes can unlock this incredible focus and resilience.
Exactly. It seems counterintuitive, but it can drive some pretty amazing results. We're going to explore what it really means to be, on death ground.
And our mission for this Apex Mindset session is to break this powerful idea down, show you how it works psychologically.
And then look at how you can actually strategically use it in your own life,
Yeah.
to break through feeling stuck or achieve something big.
Right. Without obviously facing literal life or death situations. It's about the mindset.
Purely metaphorical, yeah, a mental tool.
Okay, so let's unpack this. What exactly is death ground? Where does it come from?
Well, it really traces back to ancient military strategy. Sun Tzu's The Art of War talks about it quite a bit.
Okay, so
Yeah. He describes it as territory where your troops are totally trapped. Like there's literally no way to escape, no route out.
wow. So win or die.
Pretty much. That's the only option left. It's extreme, obviously, in that context. But the real insight isn't just military tactics.
It's just the psychology of it.
Well, exactly. It's about the mindset that situation creates.
So what happens when an army is stuck like that? What did Sun Tzu notice?
What's really interesting is he saw they stopped hesitating. They stopped calculating, what if we retreat? They stopped looking for other options.
Because there weren't any.
Right. So they just fought with this intensity and clarity that only comes from sheer desperation.
Okay.
And that core idea, that's what evolves into something broader for us. It's about intentionally cutting off our own safety nets, getting rid of those fallback plans sometimes.
To unlock something deeper, like focus or boldness.
Precisely. Focus, boldness, resilience. Things that often lie dormant when we feel too safe.
And this death ground, it's not always a literal battlefield, you said. It can be metaphorical.
Oh, absolutely. And that's where it gets really useful for, everyday life.
How so?
Well, it can be emotional, right? Like committing so fully to a personal change that turning back just feels impossible.
Or financial, maybe?
Definitely financial. Staking savings on a new business, for example, or reputational, making a public promise you absolutely have to keep.
Right, the pressure is on.
Or even just purely psychological. Convincing yourself failure just isn't an option you'll entertain. The key thing is that perceived elimination of alternatives, that feeling of no way back.
Okay, that makes sense. So when we put ourselves in that kind of metaphorical state, what's actually happening in our brains? What are the psychological effects?
Yeah, this is where it gets really interesting. There seem to be three main things that happen. First, it just eliminates distraction.
How did that work?
Well, think about it. If you're not constantly thinking, okay, if this doesn't pan out, I can always try plan B or plan C.
Right, you stop hedging your bets mentally.
Exactly. Your brain stops wasting energy considering those alternatives. You stop kind of negotiating with your comfort zone. All your mental power just focuses on the one path forward.
Okay, I can see that. Deadlines definitely do that for me sometimes. Clears the mind. What's next?
Well, that intense focus leads straight to the second effect. It helps bypass overthinking.
Analysis paralysis, the killer of action.
Totally. When the pressure is really on, when the stakes feel high, you just don't have the luxury to second-guess every little thing or spiral into self-doubt.
You just act.
You just act. It's like the sheer intensity forces instinctive, decisive movement. The need to succeed overrides all that internal chatter that usually holds us back. You just move to win.
So it taps into a more primal instinct almost, like you don't have time not to act.
Kind of, yeah. And that ties into the third effect. It unlocks primal focus.
Okay.
When survival feels like it's at stake, even metaphorical survival, like your dream, your reputation, your business, your body actually responds physically. Adrenaline kicks in, sharpening your decisions, your awareness.
That explains the deadline magic then.
Absolutely. It's why some people do their absolute best, most brilliant work right before a huge, unmovable deadline. That clock ticking down becomes their death ground, forcing a level of performance they can't normally access.
Okay, this is powerful stuff to really get a handle on it. Maybe we should look at some examples, like who actually used this?
Yeah, history gives us some incredible illustrations. Hernan Cortez is probably the classic example of using it strategically.
Right, Cortez in Mexico, 1519.
That's the one. He shows up with maybe 600 men, tiny force, facing the Aztec Empire, millions of people, established power. The odds were just absurd.
Completely stacked against him. So what did he do? The famous story.
He burned his ships. Some say he
Yeah.
disabled them, scuttled them, whatever the effect was the same.
Which was?
The message to his men was crystal clear. There's no going back. We either conquer this place or we die trying right here.
Wow. That takes guts. Why do that?
Well, Cortez wasn't stupid. He knew his men were terrified. They were outnumbered, far from home. Mutiny was a real risk. Some wanted to head back to Cuba.
So the ships represented hope, an escape route.
Exactly. They were the safety net, the fallback plan. As long as they existed, the men wouldn't be fully committed. They'd always be thinking about retreat. By removing that option,
And force their hand. Force total commitment.
we're forced commitment, yeah, and unity. Suddenly, these hesitant, outnumbered guys were fighting with this desperate intensity. It focused them entirely on the objective. Incredibly risky, but it worked. It created unshakable resolve.
So that's the external strategic use. But
Right.
you mentioned it can be internal, too. Like something thrust upon you.
Right. It's not always a choice. Think of Fyodor Dostoevsky, the writer.
Oh, yeah. What happened with him?
Well, back in 1849, he was young, involved in some political stuff, and got arrested. He and others were sentenced to death.
Seriously.
Yeah. They went through the whole terrifying ordeal, let out, tied to posts, hoods on, soldiers aiming rifles, the whole 9 yards.
That's horrifying.
Totally. And then, literally at the last second, a messenger arrives with a pardon from the Tsar. It was all a setup, a cruel piece of theater designed to break their spirits.
Did it work?
For Dostoevsky, it did the opposite. It was like a profound rebirth. He felt death so closely, so viscerally, that he just pledged right then and there never to waste another second of life.
Wow. So that moment changed everything.
Completely. He said life seemed infinite, precious. For the rest of his career, he consciously recalled that feeling. He wrote with this incredible urgency, Crime and Punishment, Brothers Karamazov, like every book might be his last.
So he used that memory as fuel.
He did. And apparently he even used things like poverty and gambling debts later in life as sort of symbolic death grounds to reignite that same desperate focus when he felt himself getting too comfortable.
Fascinating. That feeling, that psychological brush with the end, it just eliminates the illusion that you have all the time in the world.
Makes every moment count, yeah.
Okay, so these are powerful examples, but obviously we don't want to face firing squads or burn literal ships. How can we, the listener, how can we recreate that psychology, that urgency?
That's the key question, right? How do we create a psychological death ground intentionally?
Yeah.
Well, there are a few ways. One is to create artificial consequences.
Like what? Fake deadlines.
Real deadlines, but self-imposed and hard, non-negotiable ones. Or make very public commitments. Tell everyone your goal. Post it online.
So we raise the stakes.
We raise the stakes. Tie your success to something visible that really matters to you. Like, think about Lyndon B. Johnson back in '37. He was only 28.
Yeah.
He basically staked his entire political future on this one tough congressional race. He campaigned so hard he literally collapsed and ended up in the hospital. But he won. Because losing just wasn't an option he allowed himself. The stakes were his whole future.
Okay, so raise the stakes. What else?
Another tactic is to, remove the safety net. Sometimes we don't make progress because we give ourselves too much room to fall back.
Like having too much savings before starting a business.
Could be. Like, if you really want to quit that job you hate and start something new, maybe don't wait until you have a massive, comfy cushion. Save just enough to survive for a bit, then take the leap.
That sounds terrifying.
It is. But that pressure, that vulnerability can be an incredible motivator. Think about Joan Crawford in the 40s.
The actress.
Yeah. She left her comfortable spot at MGM, went to Warner Brothers, a riskier move. She deliberately rejected mediocre scripts, putting herself in a position where she had to fight for a great role.
Which led to Mildred Pierce.
Exactly. Won the Oscar, totally resurrected her career. She removed her own safety net.
Okay, so create consequences, remove safety nets. What else?
You can also use controlled traps.
Control traps. Sounds ominous.
Oh, yeah. It just means setting high-stakes challenges, but importantly, within boundaries. Things that won't totally ruin you if they fail.
Like putting down a non-refundable deposit.
Perfect example. A deposit for a big course, or committing to speak at an event. Once you've done that, you're locked in. You have to prepare, you have to deliver.
It forces you to step up.
It does. It's a bit like Julius Caesar crossing the Rubicon in 49 BC.
Ah, crossing the Rubicon.
Yeah. He committed to war with Rome with just a small force before his main army got there. That immediate high-stakes situation forced him to be incredibly creative, fast, resourceful. He put himself in a trap he had to fight his way out of.
Okay. And is there an internal way to do this
Yeah.
without external pressures?
Absolutely. You can tap into inner death grounds. Sometimes it's not about outside pressure, it's about deep internal conviction.
How do you mean?
Ask yourself, what's really at stake if I don't pursue this? What's the cost of staying stuck? What part of me dies if I let this dream go?
So, facing the internal consequences of inaction.
Exactly. That internal reckoning can be incredibly powerful. We even see it in sports. Ted Williams, the baseball legend, he actually played best when he felt cornered. He deliberately antagonized the press sometimes, just to fuel his own aggressive fighting spirit. He created his own psychological pressure cooker to perform.
Wow. Manufacturing his own death ground.
Kind of, yeah. And then you have someone like Napoleon.
Napoleon Bonaparte.
Yeah. His incredible energy, his constant drive, partly came from throwing himself into new challenges, new wars constantly. He never let himself get comfortable or bored.
He made risk a habit.
He made risk a constant practice. It was like he kept himself on edge, always facing a crisis that demanded everything he had. The fear of stagnation, maybe, was his death ground.
Okay, these are powerful techniques, but I imagine there's a downside too. You can't live like this all the time, surely.
Oh, absolutely not. That's a crucial warning. This strategy is a powerful tool, maybe like a weapon, but it is not a sustainable lifestyle.
Right. Constantly feeling like your back's against the wall.
It leads straight to burnout. You can't live in permanent fight or flight mode. It's exhausting and damaging.
So when should you use it?
You use it strategically. When you're genuinely stuck in a rut, feeling too comfortable, when you know you've outgrown your current situation and need a push, or when you need to unlock really bold, decisive action right now.
It's for breaking through specific barriers.
Exactly. Create controlled pressure to overcome stagnation, achieve the breakthrough, and then return to a more stable, sustainable pace.
And when should you definitely avoid it?
Avoid it if you're already feeling emotionally burnt out. If you have zero resources, emotional, financial, physical, left to recover if things go wrong. And obviously don't use it if you're risking something you truly cannot afford to lose, like your health, your family security.
So calculated risk, not recklessness.
Precisely. High-stakes commitment, but thoughtful. And there's another side to this too, knowing when not to use it against other people or how to maybe counter it.
Oh, interesting. How does that work?
Well, think about that nothing-to-lose intensity. If someone else is genuinely in that desperate state,
You don't want to pick a fight with them?
generally no. Avoid conflict if you can. Someone who feels they have nothing left to lose will risk absolutely everything. They have a kind of terrifying advantage because you probably do have something to lose. They don't.
So recognize desperation and maybe step back.
It's often the wisest move. Conversely, if you want an advantage,
Yeah.
you can try to lower your opponent's sense of urgency, make them feel safe, complacent, like they have all the time in the world.
Make them think there's no threat.
Exactly. Let them relax, procrastinate. Then, when you choose your moment to act decisively, they're unprepared, maybe even mentally asleep. While you're sharpening your own focus, you work to blunt theirs.
That's a subtle but powerful idea. So wrapping this up, what's the big takeaway for you, the listener?
I think it's that the real enemy so often is actually our own comfort. It's that little voice saying, you can try again later, or it's okay to play it safe.
That safety net that ends up becoming a cage, right?
Exactly. It prevents you from reaching for what you're truly capable of.
The death ground strategy, this psychological tool, it works because it forces you, essentially, to choose growth over guarantees.
It forces action over inaction. It makes you commit or, metaphorically perish in terms of that goal or dream.
So here's something to think about. Sometimes, maybe the only way to truly win, to achieve that big thing, is to leave yourself no other choice.
So ask yourself, what part of your life might actually benefit from, metaphorically speaking, burning the excuses, not necessarily the ships?
Powerful stuff. Thank you for joining us for this Apex Mindset session.
We really hope you found some valuable insights here today.
If you enjoyed this Apex Mindset session, please do like and subscribe.
It helps others find the show. Thanks for listening.